Good, just the two of us, huh?
You know, it might be, or it might open up to more. We'll see. You know, it tends to be where we get started and then we jump on in and then we go from there. So, so today what we're going to talk about is tactic number 7 or number 10, which is expand the options creative financing. So when you hear creative financing, what do you think?
Well, my first thought was back in the 80s when they used to create loans to get people in, or back in what brought us down in 2000s when they were trying to get too many people into the market.
Right.
They were doing creative financing and they didn't have enough regulations on them.
Right. So it's almost like that creative financing term drives us right back into the recession, right? We start thinking about, creative, what does that mean? You know, and part of that could be creative financing from a buyer standpoint, and then also creative financing from a seller standpoint. So, you know, buyer standpoint, absolutely, that makes us think about 10 years ago, what was going on then. It was these creative mortgage items that had a balloon payment at the end, right? I mean, that's what kind of got everyone in trouble. 0 interest for 12 months in a balloon, and then they couldn't pay the balloon is what happened, and then boom, short sale market. So now looking at today's market, though, when you start hearing things like creative financing from a buyer standpoint, what does that make you think of today?
Probably like first-time home buyers.
Okay.
You know, just what kind of I guess I'm not thinking of anything else. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, there's different loans, right? Like there's a CHAPA loan, there's a first-time home buyer loan, there's different income restrictive loans that are possible. That could be creative financing. A hard money lender could be creative financing, right? If they didn't have their credit up to speed and they went into a hard money lender and said, okay, I will, they'll lend you $200,000-$300,000 for X%. Usually that's at least double what the going rate is. I mean, usually, right? Like it's usually a 9-10%. And then, but the point is they can get qualified to buy. So that could be a
Mhm.
creative financing option. When you think of creative financing from a seller standpoint versus a buyer, what does that make you think of?
Seller sponsored. I'm trying to think of the right words here, and they're not coming to me. If they're going
Jake,
to carry the
how you doing,
mortgage,
my friend?
huh?
Good day.
There's Jake's joining us here too. He was a lender, so this will get really fun. So going back to it, Jim, the seller financing, being creative from a seller financing strategy, what do you think?
I guess I'm not that into the market yet because I don't know. I have absolutely no idea.
Cool, no worries. Something that could be an example of seller assistance would be closing costs, right? Like if
Oh,
they're going to
okay.
cover some closing costs, which is going to offset their, Jake, jump in here at any time because you know I'm going to totally slaughter this. But if it dives in and we start talking about debt to income ratios, what they need to pay off, what they need, cash they need to bring to closing, a seller could offset some of that, which could be creative financing. So Jake, what we're talking about today is creative financing. And
Oh, cool.
Jim and I both went about 10 years ago into the recession, which I know that you have direct knowledge about, and those fun days then, right?
That was awesome.
So Jake, when you hear creative financing, what do you think about, like buyer and seller?
In today's market, it's interesting because with how things have tightened up, in the last shift, we had all sorts of really cool options and opportunities. I mean, we could do lease options, we could do everything to seller finance stuff, all those pieces. Today, we're still seeing in the commercial market, or in, like my dad and I are getting ready to list potentially a 5-unit of ours, where we may do some seller financing if that's the case, because it benefits us in that moment. However, the flip side to it is we don't typically see that a lot, the residential side of our world. What we're seeing more of is down payment assistance. And even that tightened up a little bit recently with CHFA and some of the other down payment assistance programs or community assistance. And some of those community assistance and down payment assistance programs require the seller to be able to be willing to work with them, be it through closing costs or things along those lines. So it's finding that creativity. And now that some of those assistance programs are kind of in and out of popularity, depending on what happens with the markets, the options that we face there, knowing what other 100% or low down type of options exist for folks who need it. The flip side is doing seller carry seconds. We used to do that all the time. And I'm not sure how that works today or how open the banks are to it. However, I believe some of the products where they can come in and do 80% on a first and do a 20% seller carry second still work with some of those institutions.
I love that. So Jim, what does that make you think about when he starts hearing seller seconds and all this that we're chatting about?
Like I said, I guess I'm just not that much into the real estate market. I haven't dealt with any of this stuff yet, so I don't know.
How long have you been in the market, Jim?
Actually, I was with King Supers forever. I was a store
there you
manager with them. I was with them till October of last year. I've had my license since '95, but I haven't really dabbled in '95. 2015. Don't know where 95 just came from.
That's all right.
From 2015, but I haven't done anything. I just retired from King Supers here in October, so I was with Redfin for a short time, but I was just buy-side agent, and I didn't get it through anything. And then we had the layoff there, and then I'm over here.
Yeah.
So I'm very green.
Well, you know what's awesome about this conversation? You have the team leader and the operating principal on one call.
Yep.
You just got coaching, my friend.
I don't know. Let's go. So here's a big question.
Actually, there's people who break out checkbooks for this moment, so that's awesome.
We can focus on shift, or we can focus on helping you launch your business. Which would you rather do for the next 20 minutes, since nobody
I'll
else?
tell you what, let me grab a pen and paper, and I was gonna start jobbing.
Awesome.
I have my Ignite for 1 o'clock, but I don't have a pen.
How you doing, Jake Ginger?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. We'll have to chat later about that text message that we were all on.
Oh, which one's that? I haven't looked. I've been on calls all morning.
Oh, just wait for it. You'll see. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, as far as launching goes,
That's a good one.
I did a little thing on Sunday. Patrick saw it. I put my headshots, a couple different headshots, and I just kind of put it out there for all my Facebook friends to rate which one I should use for my business card. But the reason I did that is now I'm going to go back and circle back with them.
How did that? You know, Jim, what was
Asking
so
how they're
cool
doing.
about that?
Do what?
As I scrolled, it was so cool about that as I scrolled through the responses. And you got a lot of followers. I mean, my friend, you really do. You have a lot of followers from all over the place. I think that's awesome. And they're like, I mean, when you start looking at the different conversations and comments that were happening, holy cow, talk about follow-up. So Jake, Jim put out on Facebook, like, was it 3 or 4 different headshots, right? And it was
two.
vote on the two?
Two, yes.
Vote on the favorite headshot. And you had, if I remember right, there was at least 17 comments that went under that, which was awesome.
There was a lot of response. The picture I
Mhm.
like the least is the one that sure won, though.
So here's the ultimate question. What to do now?
What I'm going
Jake?
to do is start following up with them. I'm going to start saying, well, hey, thanks for responding to that. Your choice. How are you doing now doing this whole coronavirus thing?
Right.
And then I was going to start taking it, do you know anybody that's going to be needing any help with since we are going through these tough times, needing any help with their selling their home or whatever at this point. I'm going to take it to the next level. That's why I did it.
So how's your database? Do you have a database of folks?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have some. I mean, that's just it. Unfortunately, I really don't have a big database, but I was with Redfin for a little bit. They were sending me the leads, and I was starting to call through all them. I got a whole list right here in front of me. I don't know if you can see all this.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Those are the ones that came over from Redfin. Granted, that's Redfin sent them to me, so I got to be kind of careful. But I'm calling them saying, hey, I'm no longer with Redfin. I'm sure they will be reaching out to you, but now I'm with Keller Williams, and good luck to you. And they're going, oh, well, we'll probably be reaching out to you here in a couple months. So I got a couple hits on that. So
there you go. So here's the fun part.
outside the
These
box.
are all folks that were thinking about listing already.
These are people that are trying to buy. So
Okay.
yeah, buy and list. So there's some first-time buyers, but there's some people that need to sell, and there's so
here's the fun part.
farming bear stuff.
If you don't mind, I'll coach you for a little bit if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So one of my favorite routes to go with this type of conversation is many times we think about, well, what is it that I need to say? And that's the wrong question. What we really need to be asking ourselves is, what do I need to ask to help them discover that this is the right time for them? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they already started reaching out, they already started thinking about it, something was happening or something it was going on in their world to cause that. So what was the catalyst? Excuse me. And has that catalyst changed, or did we just walk into a situation where we have COVID?
I think because of the thought process, just everybody staying put. A lot of these people are just kind of holding back for a couple months until things kind of settle down.
Yep.
As far as the COVID goes, the catalyst. I mean, like one client, I know she's not going to be wanting to move because she's in the healthcare industry right now, and she doesn't want to continue looking at this point because she's pretty busy. The other one, I had the exact opposite happen. They're all of a sudden not working as much because of this, because they're not, so they're kind of slowed down on what they're going to be able to look for.
So now they're worried about job security.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And the reason why I asked that question is especially those who are doing just fine and they just want to wait. If you're looking to sell your house right now, I would put it on the market all day long. And here's why. Patrick, you and I were talking over the weekend. We put three listings on over the weekend. We had multiple offers on every listing with 0 showings. And every single one of them went over for over asking.
Why do you think that was?
Why do I think it was? Or do you want to know why?
Well, I think I know why, because there's such a limited inventory still.
So here's the numbers. In the last 7 days, we've had 742 new listings come on the market. We've had 968 go under contract. So right there's a disparity of over 200 listings. And we had 223 expire and 240 withdraw.
That's 450.
So you got almost 1,500 listings come off the market this week, and only 742 go on.
Okay, now here's a question I have never known the answer to, and forgive me for asking this,
Go
but
for it.
I'm gonna ask. How do I know if something is going expired?
Good question. So it's hard to know when it when it's going to expire, except for the fact that we're supposed to put in the expiration date in the listing. So when we do complete that in the MLS, it does show when it's expiring. However, if you pull up your MLS,
Do you see the list date?
yep. So if you just go to the home page, there's a market watch. And you can pull that down by 1 day, by 3 day, by 7 days. And that'll give you, so that's all I'm looking at right now is the market watch graph. However, here's what you can do is when you go, I can click on the hyperlink for expired listings, and it'll give me the list of every expired listing. So I know who it is that's expired. Now here's the question. How do I get the contact information for the seller to be able to reach out? That's a different story. Most of us are using a service to do that. However, there's other ways you could do that in other resources if you don't want to pay the money for the service.
Yeah, you go in through Matrix.
Yep. So in Matrix will usually give you the agent's number versus your number versus
Well, the record, you have the county records, but are you starting to,
Yep, you can go straight to county record. You can start that process as well. And what we're finding, what my team's finding as we're calling through expireds again right now, is most of these expires are expiring because the agent is telling the client that it's not the right time to sell. And then when we get them on the phone and we start having a conversation about how we sell their house in today's market, they sign with us. Because what's happening is the agent doesn't have the confidence to sell it today, so they're just saying it's not the right time. When the reality of it is the right time, it's just not the right agent or the right system.
It's an interesting competitive advantage, right?
Oh, it's stupid awesome. And by the way, all of the Jake's takes that I do, all of the coaching that I do with the market centers, you are getting my playbook. You're getting 100% of what my team is doing and how we're creating that competitive advantage, because I want you all to have that opportunity as well.
And I validate that 100% because I know the team and the team members and the team owners. So Jim, it's pretty amazing what just the fact here's the thing I want to point out. This happens from, you have mega agents that share about their teams, about their systems, about how they do their business. It doesn't typically happen in the same market that the office is in or that the other mega agent is in, because being very real, right? They're giving strategies on how to pull business from them with holding into consideration the fact that it's an 80-20 and 90-10 rule, right? Only 10% is actually going to implement. But what Jake and the team are giving is gold. I mean, it is. I had to bring the Walden team from Anchorage, Alaska into Denver to share their secrets. That's what I mean. You don't normally see that, which is awesome. Yeah. Thank you for doing that, Jake. That little shout out to you, my friend.
I mean, our goal is to help create that success, right? I mean, here's the reality. If 750 listings hit the market this week, can I just be frankly simple? Our intention and our goal in KW as a marketplace is to have 20% market share. In order to have 20% market share, we only need 150 to 750 listings.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 20 market centers in Denver and the surrounding area. So if there's 20 KW offices and all we need is 150 listings, that means each of us need to get what? One a day
mm-hmm.
as a market center, and we have 20% of the new listings on the market, which will then lead to 20% of the transactional volume on the other end.
Something that I heard that was interesting, and I think this is a great quote, is market share is mind share. Market share is mind share. So Jim, when you hear that, what does that resonate within you?
Just how much are you willing to go out after it? I think, basically, what do you, your market share? Well, what do you say? Market share is mind share?
Mm-hmm. Market share is mind share.
How much knowledge you're going to share with your client to get that market share, I guess would be a better way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So you used to be with King Soopers, right?
Huh?
You used to be with King Soopers?
Yes.
So why did King Soopers have such a strong market share in Colorado?
Because we did everything right.
That is true, because they did everything right. However, we saw Safeway
right
kind of flounder. We saw Albertsons leave.
Uh-huh.
Right? And part of it, yes, is because I've got a Safeway on the corner of Holly and County Line right down the street from me, and I've got another one a mile away on Arapahoe and Holly. Part of it, too, is they strategically place their stores all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw it everywhere, right? It's yes. Are you a Burger King, a Wendy's, or a McDonald's guy?
Yeah, I don't do the fast food thing, so none of the above.
None of the above. Well said, by the way. However, I can tell you right now, my kids are McDonald's people. Why?
Because that's what they want. It owns their mind.
Yeah, McDonald's is the one that does all the.
Gotcha. Mind share. Gotcha.
The mind share game. It's not that they're any better. Let's be honest. It sucks. It's just that's what they see. That's what they hear. So the reason why I get so excited about how simple this really is for us to do is when 1 out of every 5 real estate signs is in the yards in Denver say Keller Williams on it. You know how easy it is for any of us to go out and get a listing at that point?
It's all one unit.
Gotcha.
They don't see us as individuals. They see us as a one company, one brand.
Yeah. So we're the big dog basically in the market.
Yeah. Exactly. All of a sudden we pop a balloon.
Yeah. A couple of them for lunch. So Jim, does that resonate as far as like what?
Oh yeah, because we were always number 1 in the market share as far as King Soopers goes, and and that was, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So the best way for you to do the same thing is to have those types of conversations and create the database, so you're connecting with them regularly, with or without real estate conversations. Right now, it's probably a connection of, hey, how are you doing in today's market? And then finding other ways or other areas that you can go purposely attack. So if I'm new today, I'll give you my playbook. Patrick, I've had this conversation. I love these types of markets because we're all in the same playing ground. We're all on the same footing. And if I was new today, walking into this market, knowing what I know from thriving in the last market, I would be chasing VRBO. I would be chasing.
That's a great tip.
I would be chasing tenant or landlords with multiple property. I would be chasing and talking with bankruptcy attorneys and divorce attorneys.
Oh yeah. both of
You
those
know,
for
I
sure.
made a comment. I was being funny about that with my attorney. I said, I bet your business is going to start booming here shortly with all
It,
the
it
couples
will
being
in
together.
60 days. Watch what
100%.
happens. You're going to have,
By the way, they're going to trust who the attorney recommends over who their friend is.
oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Oh, so
Our
I need to
business was
talk to
built
my
on.
attorney. Okay.
So, and those would be my 4 go-tos right now outside of my database. I would be firming up the database. I would be building those relationships, and then I would go to those 4 areas. And then the 5th one, if I wanted to dabble in it, is I would go expireds. And expireds is all about scripts and dialogues and knowing what to say and having fun with it. So you'll compete in that market with some big dogs that do really well at it. It doesn't mean you can't win.
Can I jump in for a moment?
Yes.
Do you know what expireds is really about? The emotion. Expireds is 1,000% about the emotion. 1,000%. Why do you think your home didn't sell? If we specialize in selling the homes a second time, may I explain? It's all about emotion, right? You tie in the emotion, you twist the knife, and I'm recorded right now, so that's awesome. Twist that knife, and then it's pain versus pleasure, right? Like, we used to rock expireds. Why? Because I'd get in their head and get in their heart. If I got in their head and I got in their heart, I got them every single time. Same with for sale by owners. Exactly the same thing, because those guys right now are feeling major pain points because they thought it was all about an open house.
Yep.
That's what they thought our entire industry was about, an open house. It's not. Head, heart. I don't know, Jake. I didn't go very easy there, so sorry, sorry, gentlemen.
So what do you think, Jim?
Oh, there's a lot of good information there. I'm kind of glad I chimed in here today.
I know you got like coaching one-on-one.
I did. Cool.
Yep. Now the challenge for you is to figure out how to go and get access to those different resources.
Right.
And don't overthink it. Just start having the conversations.
Okay.
If
I think that's my
my
biggest problem is
conversations with the
overthinking.
RBO folks right now is, hey, how are things going, by the way? I know that, I own a couple. I've looked at a bundle. We rent them all the time. And I know that the ones that we rented are now no longer rented because most of us have canceled those trips. How are you doing? Are you in a financial place where you're okay? Because if not, you probably bought early enough where you saw a huge run up in equity, and we could probably help you through that.
Okay.
I think the key piece on all of this is, how do you take the first step, and taking the first step, not just how, but doing it, right? Like it's got to be that action that follows the thought. Otherwise, we paralyze ourselves, and then we come up with incredible excuses on why not. The real question is, why not you, right? Like this, there's going to be the shift, and Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I am. Those who come out of this overnight market shift that will be millionaires, that will gain so much market share.
Yep.
Why? It's not because they have perfect systems. It's really not. But why do you think? I mean, I know my answer, but.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking everyone.
No. Oh.
It's the same reason that I blew it up in 2008. A lot of our agents, and from coaching them, Patrick, you can say this, you can tell me if I'm right or not. From my conversations and coaching conversations with them, many are going, okay, I'm just going to wait until this all comes back, until it gets back to normal. Well, number one, we don't know when normal is going to come back. And number two, we don't know what normal is going to look like.
It's kind of like the same theory of buying low or buying high and selling low.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time to really get into the market when it's low.
Yep.
Same theory of what I'm going with.
Yeah, I think it's key that there are incredible opportunities and strategies and all these different things going on all over the place, right? If we're willing to look at it. The other piece, which is the massive one, is implementation. It's the action. It's knowing that it's not going to be perfect. it's realistically, Jake and I are amazing at creating big messes. Like
Yes.
I will tell you all day long, Jim, I create some of the greatest messes. And Jake, you back me up on that, right?
Oh, yes.
We both talk and we're like, really? That's where you wanted to go? But the point is we've made progress and it gets exciting and it's fun and people jump onto it and it creates a culture. So how do you create a culture within your business that is caused by just, you know what, drop the reins, let it run a little bit. Like there's going to be some chaos. It won't be perfect.
No.
So be okay with that, because the people who are waiting on perfect are the ones who are going broke without knowing they're going broke.
They're living based on the fact that they had a good couple of months and they've got a decent month lined up. And they're not thinking about the next 3, what's going to happen.
Exactly. So awesome. Jim, what was the takeaway that you got?
Well, just where to start. I mean, the 4 areas, the BRBOs, the landlords. I mean, landlords, it makes a lot of sense in the world because I was watching that when I was still at Redfin. When we first started this, I just saw the influx of condos hitting the market. So why not reach out to them? But like I said, I was a buying agent there, so I wasn't going out looking for them. So that'd be a great place to go. The bankruptcy and divorce. That was my takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity. And you can make a list that just keeps going. So
Jim, I have one question for you before we jump off the line.
Mm-hmm.
Who at Redfin could use that same exact type of coaching and help, because they're on an island right now and they're not coming closer to sea. They're not coming closer to land. They're going farther out to sea, right? So who do you think that we could reach out to and help change your life?
As far as agents,
Mm-hmm.
I already reached out to a couple that went out with me at the same time, and one's waiting. She's doing the waiting game, but her name's Tracy Witt. I could probably get you. I don't know. I guess I could get your number and you could contact her.
Yeah, I'd love to just check in with her and see how she's doing. That's it.
Right.
And we'll go from there. I mean,
And the other guy
same
already signed on with somebody else. I think he signed on with HomeSnap.
Cool. Well, there's still, I know that HomeSnap platform. So if they're interested in even having a conversation, could be helpful, right? I mean, that's the idea, is to help these guys out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Jake, you get a takeaway?
It always blows my mind. It's simple, not easy, right? I mean, we know where the business is. We know what we need to do to get it. The questions are, what does it take for us to motivate ourselves out to go out and do it? If that makes sense. Because the other challenge that I find is we get ready to get ready. And it's not time to get ready anymore. It's just time to do
it.
Yep. So go get it, Jim.
All righty. Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, man.
I got to bolt because Debbie moved it back to 1 o'clock for the Ignite, and I got to get over to that room.
Go get it.
Tiger. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate
you.
you being with us, buddy.
Sure thing. Thanks. Bye.
Jake, thank you, my friend.